Marvel's What If, it's just around the corner now, and if you haven't yet familiarised yourself with the Disney Plus show's mysterious interstellar host, well, you ought to. Uatu, that's almost a joke, right? Ugh. Voiced by Jeffrey Wright, Uatu the Watcher will be our faithful narrator as he guides us across the branching paths of the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. But before he makes his MCU debut, the 50-foot Funko Pop from outer space has been busy popping up all over the place in comic books, cartoons, and of course, in video games. So join me now on this voyage through time, space, and reality itself as we explore the many video game appearances of the Watcher. Hey heroes, I'm Josh from Panels to Pixels, and this is the complete history of Uatu the Watcher in video games. Created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, Uatu the Watcher first appeared in Fantastic Four issue 13, cover dated April 1963. The Watchers are an ancient alien race committed to observing and compiling knowledge on all aspects of the Marvel Universe. Uatu was assigned to study and report on Earth and its solar system, and has been doing so for billions of years. Watchers must take a sacred vow of non-interference, prohibiting them from influencing the course of history. But Uatu breaks this vow, like, all the time. Most famously when he helped the Fantastic Four prevent Earth from becoming Galactus' lunch, by telling them where to find the ultimate nullifier. Uatu possesses superhuman intelligence, and despite looking like Dean Norris at a toga party, he is said to be as powerful as Galactus himself. And if you love watching and learning as much as Uatu, then you're going to really love this video's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creative and curious people like you. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and most importantly, get inspired. There are literally thousands of classes on there, from illustration, graphic design, animation, video editing, photography, music, and so much more. Recently, I've been getting really into toy and action figure photography because I'm a massive dweeb apparently, but the truth is I'm a very amateur photographer. So I just went straight to Skillshare and I brushed up on the fundamentals of DSLR photography with Justin Bridges. This crash course gives you everything you need to know about all that confusing stuff like shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, so that you can take the stunning professional photos you've always dreamed of. What I really love about Skillshare is the combination of video lessons, which are great for visual learners like me, plus the class projects that encourage you to get creative and put your new skills into practice. Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads and they're always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. Sounds good, right? Well, the good news is the first 1,000 people to use the link in the description below this video will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So whether you're a beginner, a pro, a dabbler, or a master, Skillshare has the tools you need to explore your creativity. Thanks, on with the show. Uatu the Watcher made his first video game appearance all the way back in 1990, in X-Men II: The Fall of the Mutants for DOS. Developed by Paragon Software, this action-adventure game follows the Fall of the Mutants storyline from the comics, with the addition of one big bald-headed baby boy. Despite not appearing in the comics crossover itself, Uatu is featured prominently on the game's box art and title screen, and he appears at the start of the campaign to introduce the game as a parallel universe version of the story, branching from the mainline Marvel 616 continuity. It's actually a super cool way of establishing the game as part of a functioning Marvel multiverse. In a way, this kind of cross-media storytelling between comics and games was way ahead of its time. It's just a shame that the actual game stinks. It would be 10 years before the Watcher's next full video game appearance in Neversoft's SpiderMan, specifically the PlayStation, Dreamcast, and PC versions. Upon entering a code in the cheat menu, players gain access to a What If mode, which, inspired by the What If comics, puts Spidey in an alternate timeline version of the game's story. Uatu the Watcher pops up right at the beginning to explain to us that
I am the Watcher. You already know the outcome of Spider-Man's battle with Dr. Octopus, Carnage, and the symbiotes. But what if? What if this time, in this time stream, some of the events unfolded differently? Some of the differences are grand, some minute. Those of you alert enough may notice some of the differences yourself.
The changes are admittedly mostly superficial, like adding cameos from the Human Torch, Ghost Rider, Silver Surfer, and Namor the Submariner. but this mode is a really fun way of referencing the comics and offering some much needed replayability to the game's short campaign. The Marvel vs. Capcom series of fighting games contains multiple allusions to Uatu the Watcher. In 1998's Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, one of the game's many beautifully rendered stages is based around the blue area of the moon, and features Uatu's Citadel. Heroes and Heralds mode is a game mode in 2011's Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which adds a card deck building system to the series' familiar arcade fighting. When it came to assigning characters to each of the unlockable ability cards, Capcom pulled some pretty deep-cut Marvel heroes and villains, and one of them was, you guessed it, Uatu the Watcher. In fact, Uatu's card is one of the highest ranked in the game, offering some pretty high-level perks, which is appropriate for one of the oldest and most powerful beings in the Marvel universe. And finally, in the fan favourite Marvel vs. Capcom series, we have Marvel vs. Capcom Origins from 2012. This digital-only compilation of 2 early Capcom-produced Marvel fighters features an achievement called Uatu the Watcher that was unlocked by watching 5 replays of previous matches. Makes sense, right? Perhaps Uatu's most prominent video game role came in 2006, with one of my personal favourite comic book games, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Facing certain death at the hands of Doctor Doom, the Marvel heroes are saved by the mysterious Uatu. The Watcher warns that Doom's use of Odin's powers is tearing the fabric of reality, and breaking his vow of non-interference as he, let's face it, frequently does, offers the heroes a means to defeat Doom. Players can then encounter Uatu as an NPC on Attilan, the moon-based home of the Inhumans. Uatu is voiced in the game by popular voice actor Phil Lamar, who provides an appropriately ground-shaking baritone. In 2011's Marvel Superhero Squad Online, the Watcher can be found as an NPC in the Baxter Plaza area. Well, I mean, he could be found there, but that game doesn't really exist anymore outside of fan recreations. While Uatu doesn't appear in the game itself, the character gets name-dropped in 2011's Spider-Man Edge of Time, as part of the text description for the unlockable Poison Suit. But a much meatier role for Uatu came the following year, in 2012's Marvel Avengers Battle for Earth. Published by Ubisoft, this motion control fighting game for the Wii U and Xbox 360 Kinect is heavily based on the Secret Invasion storyline from the comics. Uatu the Watcher serves as the game's narrator, and is voiced here by Steve Blum, who goes for a sort of croaky, bad English accent. It's a choice.
Still, as one who has observed the universe for countless millennia, I assure you that while one watches the skies, the greatest dangers can come from within.
That same year, Uatu was referenced by name only on Zen Studios' Marvel Pinball Infinity Gauntlet table, a reference so inconsequential that only one who sees all would spot it, or bother to include it in this video. Now, I don't talk about mobile games very often on this channel, but let us leave no stone unturned as we next look at 2012's Marvel War of Heroes. This mobile card battle game featured a veritable cornucopia of Marvel characters, from the most well-known to the truly obscure, so you better bet your butt that Uatu got a few cards of his own.
I am Uatu the Watcher.
2013's Marvel Heroes brought us hands down one of the coolest Uatu appearances in all of video games. The opening cinematic of this free-to-play MMORPG saw the Watcher recapping some of the most significant and iconic events in Marvel Comics history, accompanied by some beautiful 2D animation, before facing off against a cosmic cube wielding Doctor Doom. This whole cutscene is bad freaking ass. I never got into Marvel Heroes back when it was a thing, but man, what I would give for a Marvel game like this now. You really don't know what you've got until it's gone, and been replaced by soulless live service games. In more recent years, The Watcher was the focus of a cinematic trailer celebrating Marvel Contest of Champions' 5-year anniversary. Again, I don't do a lot of mobile gaming, but when I see stuff like this, it makes me want to hit the App Store and give it a go. And there we go, that's every time Uatu the Watcher has ever appeared in a video game. The nice thing about this character is how he's able to traverse the multiverse and observe the many parallels between different time streams. It's cool for continuity nuts like myself to think of Uatu in all of these instances as the same version of the character from the comics, bridging the gap between these disparate video game realities within the wider Marvel multiverse. And if that's the closest we ever get to a cohesive Marvel video games universe, well, I suppose it will just have to do. Thanks for watching this video, get it? What if you hit the thumbs up button, comment to let YouTube know that you enjoy my content, and subscribe to Panels to Pixels for more comic books, video games, and all sorts of fun stuff. Until next we meet, heroes, take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!